everyone. Welcome to YouTube Tuesday, session 61 with me, Jessica Brigden of Jess B, Creative Cardiology. How are you today? Hope you're having a great week. I picked some flowers for you. This is a sneak peek of what we're going to be coloring with, what we're going to be doing in this video today. Yes, I have some black-eyed Susans here that I cut from my side yard. Aren't they pretty? I love late summer flowers. They're so gorgeous. And so that is the inspiration for today's projects, where we will be using the Nature's Harvest stamp set. Brand new stamp set from the mini catalog. This is on page 55 here. So you can see this is the Harvest Meadows Suite. Has the Nature's Harvest stamp set, and there's coordinating dies. And then there's lots of pretty designer papers and things, but we are going to take a step back today. We're going to just go really quick and simple. I don't know if you want to call it, it's a hot, lazy day stamping. It is hot and steamy. It's in the 90s outside. It's real hazy. I'm expecting a thunderstorm at some point this afternoon. And it's been one of those weeks. I had a yard sale last weekend. Things were crazy. I know I said I would be getting a video of some of my retired products up. That hasn't happened yet. I really apologize. Things were crazy, and with all that going on and things, I feel like my brain just kind of turned to mush. It's just been that kind of week. So I'm picking up. I do have plans. I will get those things together. And for those of you, Carmen and Nancy and any others that have placed orders without being able to attend my sale, I will get those things to you. You will have a chance to go through my retired stuff, I promise. But in the meantime, I've got some gorgeous flowers here. So we'll be doing a variation. I realize these are cone flowers and echinacea. Actually, I didn't realize that black-eyed Susans were part of that kind of coneflower daisy family. There's all kinds of different variations to that. Hey Wendy, thanks so much for joining me. So we'll be doing a couple different variations. We're going to do a combo with some crushed curry, an early espresso, and then I pulled out Old Olive. Yeah, I think that'll work for the leaves. And then for our coneflower variation, I've pulled out my rich razzleberry and my Old Olive. Hey, David from Hot Cortland. And he's going to remind me, if you haven't already, please make sure you give me thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, which actually is a good segue because it took a couple weeks, but we made it to past that 2,100 subscriber mark. Woohoo! Thank you all. I really appreciate it. Your subscribing really does help my channel. I appreciate you sharing it with your friends and being here with me throughout my videos each week. And so I'm doing a card giveaway today. And I went back through the past, I think the past 4 videos since I announced that I would be doing the giveaway, and put all your names in my random wheel of name picker online. And the random name picker picked Joan Beard and Mary Lou Cronshavel. I hope I'm pronouncing those correctly. So Joan and Mary Lou, if you happen to watch this video, please reach out to me. You can message me through the contact me there on YouTube. As there's my email, I believe my phone number is there. And let me know what your mailing address is so that I can send you a fun card, some little happy mail. Yes, love that. All right, I'm gonna flip the camera. We're just gonna get right into it and get stamping today. Yes, all right, flip that around. Okay, so my August host code, I'll give you guys an update. So since my last video there a week ago, I had announced that August 22nd, coming up in just a couple weeks, is my 15-year stampiversary, and I have a pretty hefty goal of achieving $5,000 in sales by by August 22nd there. So just a couple weeks to do that. With the workshop that I had over the weekend and my sale and some online orders that came in, I am just about 40% towards that goal. So I'm about not quite to $2,000 yet out of that $5,000 needed in the next couple of weeks. So if you are able to place an order with me and help me reach that goal, so it's my career milestone of 300,000 that I'm closing in on. I wanted to do that by my 15-year stamp anniversary, and I need just a little bit beyond that too, because I haven't quite earned the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip yet for this year, and that earning period ends in September. So it's down to crunch time here, and definitely appreciate that if you're able to help me out. So like I said, we are playing with the Nature's Harvest stamp set here to coordinate with our beautiful daisies that we've got here, Brown-Eyed Susans. And yeah, so let's go ahead. I've got a couple variations. So the first one we're going to start with is crushed curry. I thought about doing bumblebee, but crushed curry is actually just a little bit darker, a little bit richer in color. So that's where I went with here, 5.5 by 8.5, and we will go ahead and just fold and score that at 4.25. So pretty simple to start with here. I have then cut a layer of early espresso that is 4 by 5.25. All right, so we're just building our base to start with. We'll go ahead and adhere this right down. All right, so we're gonna build our foundation of our card, and then we can get to the fun part. All right, so the next piece I have here is some basic white that is 1/4 of an inch smaller, 3 3/4 by 5. And what I did is, after I cut those out, I took my Stitched with Whimsy dies. These are so fun. They don't cut out, but what they do is they provide this whimsical, fun little stitching that looks like a bumblebee flew around your project. So this, the second largest size here, is the perfect size for that nice layering on your front, just to adds a nice detail to an otherwise very simple card. And we're actually going to be doing our stamping right here on our basic white, on our stitched layer. And what I love about this, we're going to be doing some coloring with our markers. And I realize that seems, for those of you that have been stamping for a while, that is, oops, playing with my lights here, a fairly basic technique. But if you're a new stamper, then that might not be something that you're familiar with. So I wanted to pull that in. When you color with your markers on your stamp, you do need the Stampin' Right markers. Okay, so these are in the annual catalog. We have 6 sets. Okay, they come in sets. You cannot buy them individually. They do come in sets, and they have each set of in colors is a set of 5. And then the brights, the regals, the subtles, and the neutrals are each a set of 10. Okay. And the Stampin' Right markers, what's different with these, I don't know if you can see that on there, they are a water-based dye ink. All right, they do have 2 tips. They've got a fine tip for doing a little writing or filling things in. And then we have our painty, our bold tip here, which is what we'll be using the most of. This is what you use when you're applying your ink to your stamp. And the reason that we are using the Stampin' Right markers is because they are a water-based ink. It is the same, essentially the same ink formulas that is in our classic ink pads. These are a water-based dye ink. Now, as much as we color with our blends, the reason we don't use our blends directly on our stamps is because these are an alcohol-based ink, and when alcohol is involved, that's to help things dry quickly. That's why these are fabulous to color with on our paper, because you can move that ink around, but it doesn't it dries quickly. It's a completely different ink formula. And they each have a very different purpose. But when you're coloring directly on your stamps, you definitely want to use the Stampin' Right water-based markers. Okay, so like I said, you're going to use your bold, your brush tip here, and we are going to apply this directly onto our stamp. I don't know if you guys can see with the lighting here, the coloring on here. So we're gonna do, the nice thing with coloring, I realize, I don't know why my camera is bouncing around there a little bit, but one of the great things about coloring with markers is that you can get different colors of ink on the same stamping image here. So in this case, I'm doing my flower petals with the crushed curry. And then I'm going to come in with my flower centers here with my early espresso. All right, and then we'll come in with our leaves and our stems with our old olive here. All right, and I might pull in a little bit of garden green as well. So let me just go all over this with the old olive. Okay, so that's old olive. Let me pull out my garden green. Now, if you decide you really like the Stampin' Right markers, they also come, if you wanted to do the whole works with all 4 main color families, you can get these Stampin' Right markers, the full collection in the carrying case here, which is nice. So you can see they're all in there, assorted by color family. And then you've got this nice chart on the side to keep them all organized there. So this is the 4 main color families: the brights, the neutrals, the subtles, and the regals. And then the in colors would be sold separately. But that is a nice item to be able to, if you're interested in hosting a workshop, like right now I'm doing pretty much everything online. So if you'd be interested in hosting a Facebook party or a YouTube or a Zoom or something like that, and being the host, collecting some orders from friends, you could actually get that whole marker collection as a half price item and save a lot of money. That's a great way to do that. Hi, Karen from Scotland. Ooh, awesome. Scotland is on my bucket list. That is something I definitely would like to visit, because my family, my maiden name is Kirk, which is Scottish. And so I would love to do that. My mother's family maiden name is Cummings, which is more English, and then my father's family was Kirk, which is Scottish. So yeah, I love all all things, the history of Scotland and England and all of that. I think that is pretty amazing, and I would love to get over there and see the Highlands and all of that. Hi, Kathy from Northern Idaho. Yes, just in time to catch me live. Oh, it's your first time. That's so exciting. Thank you so much for joining. I have a good friend that her family lives out in Idaho, and I didn't realize that. I guess, Idaho is not a place I'd ever really thought of visiting prior, but she shares the most amazing pictures of their family hikes out in the mountains and all these beautiful lakes, and there's some hot springs that they visited, and it looks absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so what I've done, I've colored my coneflower stamp here, the Nature's Harvest, with crushed curry, early espresso, and then a combination of old olive and garden green on the leaves. Now, this is a water-based ink, so it does take a little while. It's not dry yet, but you do have a little bit of evaporation, and especially when the weather's hot. So this is one of those times that we kind of jokingly say, this is okay to huff. So what you're gonna do, which I can't really show you on camera, is you're going to bring the stamp up towards your mouth, blow on it, like huff on it, to re-moisten it with the heat of your breath. So I'm going to All right, so I huffed on my stamp. You can just imagine the fun of that. All right, and then you apply your stamp directly to your paper here. Hold it nice and tight. And then when we lift, look how cool that is. So with the coloring with the markers on there, we were able to get our whole blend of colors and stamp that all at the same time, which is really neat. This is a really pretty stamp, and you can see where the old olive and the garden green blended through there on the leaves. I really like that. Very cool. All right, so like I said, quick and simple, but if you've never colored with your markers before directly on your stamp, then those were some good tips that I wanted to share with you there. It's a fun, nice technique to be able to do that. All right, so quick and simple, beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna clean my stamp so that we can do our other color variations here. All right, so I do have my Stampin' Mist here. If you had your chamois handy, whichever you use, you just want to make sure you clean your stamps in between. Yes, Wendy, thank you. Yeah, isn't that, she says it's beautifully subtle. Yeah, I think so. Just, it's pretty. It's a wildflower. I love that. Oh, it's on your order arriving tomorrow. Exciting. Oh, Kathy says, yes, there's a lot of lakes nearby. Oh, so pretty. Yeah, I didn't realize it was so similar. I live in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, and we have lakes everywhere, and I feel blessed to be like a 5-minute drive from Cayuga Lake. So we're towards the we're towards the southeastern side of Cayuga Lake. So I live just north of Ithaca. And it's really pretty here, lots of wineries, and it's just a really nice area. So we have a lot of tourists in the summer around this way. But yeah, it's really pretty. Okay, so this time we are going to, I was like so eager to get right into coloring here. I forgot to show you the papers that we're going to use for this next card. Okay, so on this one, we have our Rich Razzleberry as our card base. So 5.5 by 8.5. Go ahead and fold and score that there at 4.25. Okay, and this time I'm doing a layer of Old Olive, so 4 by 5.25. So following the same basic layout as the first card, we are just changing up our color combination here. So I'm doing Rich Razzleberry and an Old Olive. We're going with a little bit more traditional echinacea colors for this project. And the same thing, I'm using my basic white 3 3/4 by 5, and I have pre-stitched that with my Stitched with Whimsy dies, running that through the die cut machine. All right, not going to glue that down quite yet. And we are starting here, this time with Rich Razzleberry. All right, again, coloring directly on our stamp. You're using your bold tip for the coloring, and you're just brushing the ink on. You don't need a lot of pressure with this. It's like wiping on the color. Okay, and you can see I am kind of at an angle, because when you do this, you don't want to be like straight up and down on your tips. You don't want to ruin your tips. I mean, our markers are good and sturdy, but you do want them to last a long time, because your wonderful Stampin' Up! Supplies are an investment. All right, so we did Rich Razzleberry. I am going to come in and do the early espresso again for the cones there. And then I really liked that combination of Old Olive here and the garden green. I thought that was nice, having that kind of two-tone. So I'm going all over with my Old Olive. And just brushing it all over. You can tell this Old Olive marker, I've had this one for a long time. In fact, this one, my tip is is really fuzzy. In fact, some of these that are really old, I've actually just kind of snipped my tips with with my paper snips just to get some of that fuzz off because they still work. It's just not as used, just lots well loved, I guess you could say. All right, so we had the old olive, and then yeah, just kind of coming through randomly here with some of that garden green to highlight some extra color there. Okay. And then we're gonna huff on it, which means I'm gonna bring it up towards my face. I'm going to blow my hot air, blow my hot air on it to help remoisten the ink there. You can see it kind of, well, kind of fogs up the block a little bit. And then right here on this even spot, I'm going to then press it firmly, let that ink transfer. All right, so just holding it for a second, and then I pull it up. Oh, so pretty. Isn't that fun? Again, you can see the variation in color, the blending of the old olive and the garden green. Pretty there with the rich raspberry and the early espresso. All right, so then we'll go ahead and just adhere this onto our card base. And I know I usually only do 2 cards in my videos, but stick around here for a minute. And actually, this would be kind of cute. Let's put this on at a little bit of an angle. We'll definitely embrace the whimsy. All right, so this one we did straight on. How about we angle it just a little bit? So pretty there as is, but how about we add, we need just a little something something. I have some of these little bumblebee trinkets here. Let me find my mini glue dots in my bin. I think these would be cute. Oops, come on here. There we go. Stick your bumblebee right to your trinket. There we go. And now we've got, isn't that cute? I love that. Just a little extra something something on there. Should we put one on this card too? Let's do that. Just embracing the wildflowers. We've got bees buzzing around outside. Actually, my Rose of Sharon's are in bloom. Oh, I love those. And this morning I saw the hummingbirds are here and they love the Rose of Sharon's. Yeah, I love seeing that. I love living out in the country where I can just look outside my window and see the birds and the flowers and all of that. All right, so these were 2 variations here of our Nature Harvest card, coloring with markers, direct to stamp. All right, well, I have I'm not going to clean my stamp just yet because I want to show you another little variation of this. This time I'm pulling in, I'm not going to show you the whole build the layer thing, but this time you can see my cardstock is a little bit different. This is a piece of the shimmer white cardstock. The shimmery white cardstock comes in a pack of 10 8.5 by 11 sheets. And you can see, can you guys see that? There's, let me see if I can bring my light a little bit better here. Can you guys see it? It has a very subtle shimmer, a little bit of a sparkle to it. And I like using this. There we go. Now you can see that sparkle a little bit. Hi, Carol. Oh, better late than never. Glad you can make it. You're about to see, we're going to do some cool stuff here. I've pulled out my shimmery white cardstock here to show you another variation of this. A lot of times I like to use my shimmery white for watercoloring. It is not as thick and it's not as textured as watercolor paper. So you don't want to use a lot of water. You don't really want to saturate it, but it is kind of a nice medium. It's definitely more absorbent than the basic white. And it does have that fun shimmer to it. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I've still got my rich raspberry ink on here. So I'm going to just color this again, go back over this with my rich raspberry marker here on my flowers. Sorry about that if my camera's, I didn't realize I colored so enthusiastically there. Oh, hi, Kathy. Thank you so much for your comment. Yes, aren't the bees? They're so fun. I love those little bumblebee trinkets. And they're, you know, they add just a little bit of texture, but it's not too thick. So you can still send those through the mail. There's a quick tip for you. If your postal person is a bit finicky about things being super flat, what you can do is when you get ready to mail your card and stick it in your envelope, turn your card inside out, and that way you'll have an extra little layer of cardstock protection to help that go through the mail there. All right, so we did our rich raspberry. We've got our early espresso, again coming right over this with our old olive all over here, and then we'll do our, add a little bit of garden green. Okay, so just highlighting kind of here and there. Okay, so here is the fun part. I'm going to move these finished cards out of the way. I am going to lay a paper towel here on my surface. Okay, and my stamp here. And I have pulled in, this is one of these Stampin Spritzers. They come in a set of 2. They are basically just a barrel with a spritzer top on it. So on many videos, you've seen people filling these with rubbing alcohol and re-inker to make different colored Stampin' sprays and mists. For today's video, I am just using water. And what we're gonna do, and hopefully I don't get any water spritzed on the camera here, but I am going to hold this a few inches away and gently, woo, spritz my stamp. All right, so I've added some water here. You can, I don't know, can you guys see the water is on there? That's why I made sure I put a paper towel here on my work surface. All right, and now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and flip this and then stamp it. Hold it tight for a minute. Let that ink, let that color transfer to the paper and give it a sec to like start soaking right in. All right, and then gently lift. And look how cool that is. All right, so you can see it's just a little bit different. But isn't that a fun technique? All right, so just by adding water, we've got this cool, I'm gonna let that dry just I don't want it to, I'm gonna just dab this over gently because I don't want it to run. All right, so that is gonna take a minute to dry, but that looks, so it's just a different take on that. Yeah, love that. Okay, so let me clean this stamp. And we'll do that. But we'll do it again because it was so much fun. So many cool things that you can do with stamps, ink, and paper here. All right, so again, I've got another piece of the shimmery white. Again, you do need something a little bit more absorbent when you are playing with water here. All right, let's go ahead. We'll do our crushed curry on here. And again, so many different color combinations that you could do. I was looking on Google for just to make sure I had proper names of things, and I came up with, oh, maybe somebody could tell me. It's a type of coneflower kind of daisy family here. What did they call it? Gloriosa daisies, where they're yellow with a brown center, but then they have some, what color do I want to use? Let's pull in maybe some, yeah, let's pull in a little bit of real red, where they had like a touch of red right there, like around near the cone. So you have that fun blend of yellow and red on there, which I thought was so pretty. All right, let's do our stems here. So I went ahead and I added some real red on there on top of my crushed curry. So I'm anxious to see how that blends here when I spritz that with water. So I did my old olive, come in here with some, again, a little bit of garden green. Okay, and then keep your paper towel on your surface. Hold it a couple inches away. So the further away you go, the broader your spray is going to be, but the finer the mist. Does that make sense? The closer you are, your water is going to like go with more force in that particular direction. So you actually want to hold it a bit further away. And then do your light spreads. The more water you add, the more it will blend. I think one good spritz is good. And you can see even here on my paper towel where it kind of like blew the ink. It did like a little bit of a colored mist has bounced off of the stamp here. But if we come in, so I'm letting that water kind of run on there a little bit. I'm not tilting it because I don't want it to like come off of the stamp. Just let those colors mix. We'll flip it, press it firmly onto our shimmer paper, hold it there for a few seconds, let that ink transfer, let the water absorb and the color blend there. All right, and then we'll lift. You want to lift directly up because you don't want to smear it. Very cool. Yes, you could use alcohol too. Yeah, that is another option too, to mist the stamp instead of, or excuse me, to mist the paper instead of the stamp. I was gonna say, you know what? Here, this is the back side. Let me color. I'm just gonna color a little bit again, just to make sure we've got plenty of ink here on our stamp. And then we'll go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like when you spray your paper instead. All right, so hey Kathy, thanks so much for joining, Kathy Bidney. Glad to have you on. All right, I'm gonna do that same. I liked having that, that little real red kind of blending through there, a little extra pop of color in there with the yellow of the crushed curry. Okay, go over this real quick. So you can see it doesn't take long to color with your ink on your stamps, and that's a great way to get multiple colors on here. Coloring with markers is also great if you're using a sentiment, perhaps something like a happy birthday, and you just want to say happy day. You can color the portion of the stamp that you want and omit the rest. So it's totally up to you how you want to do that. All right, so again, stay a couple inches away, and then, all right, so I'm misted my paper here. So when you're doing that, sometimes you do want to, depending on how much water you add, you might actually want to hold this down with a little bit of washi or painter's tape, because you can see with the water, the paper starts to curl. So I'm going to hold this down a little bit, apply my stamp directly. Now I did not spritz my stamp this time. I just colored it, and I'm applying it to the paper that has been misted. I can hold that a little bit. Oh, very cool. So that was definitely more water on that one. So we definitely have a more watercolor look. This is going to take some time to dry. If you want to speed that up, you can heat it with your heat tool. Again, I would recommend kind of taping that down with some painter's tape, with some washi that you've got on hand, just so that as it dries, that it's not going to get super curled. But definitely has more of a whimsical look with it. on this one. Isn't that cool? But yes, very, very simple techniques. The Stampin' Spritzers are in the annual catalog. They come in a 2-pack. The nice thing with just water, you can pour it out and pour it back in. You can fill one with rubbing alcohol. You could do that. That would definitely speed up the drying time. The thing with if you were spraying your paper directly with rubbing alcohol like this, you'd have to be careful that it doesn't dry before you actually get it stamped. So you might want to do I would say if you're going to do that, you could almost do like a 50-50, half water, half rubbing alcohol. That might be a more balanced blend. But yeah, so spritzers, they're just a couple dollars for the pack of 2, and love them because they're refillable. You can create different mists with different colors and things like that. I am leaving this. I think it's dry enough. I can remove the paper towel from my work surface here. You definitely need something absorbent to protect your surface from overspray and all of that fun stuff. But you can see this one it's already dry, and that was just spritzing the stamp and then putting it on the dry paper. So a little bit different there. And then these were our original. This was coloring with markers and then stamping it directly on the stamp. Hey, Naomi! Hola! Oh, so good to have you here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so yes, here in the US, I go live at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, I know some of the different time zones you're some of you stay up very late and some of you get up very early to watch me. I really appreciate that. Aw, so just going back through your comments a little bit. Hey, Janelle, how are you? Aw, okay, so you guys love these. Oh, Kathy just made a beautiful sympathy card with this set. Yes, this Nature's Harvest is such a gorgeous stamp set. There is a beautiful, I love this sentiment. Sending healing thoughts. May nature's beauty bring peace to your soul. This one's nice too. A reminder to never forget how much you mean to me and so many others. So pretty. And then of course we have other wildflowers in here too. We've got some just kind of abstract pieces, and then the dies that go with that are beautiful too. Yeah, isn't this a fun technique? I hope you guys give it a try. You just need some markers, some of the Stampin' Right markers in particular. So for these, we used our crushed curry, we used early espresso, old olive, garden green, and then for the other ones we added in rich raspberry in that combination. And then for this other one, if you want to do more of like, I believe they were called Gloriosa daisies. If any of you are gardeners out there or know your flowers a little bit better, definitely straighten me out there if I've got that wrong. But that is with the yellow and the red a bit there. So definitely have fun experimenting. It's just paper. And paper has 2 sides. As you can see on this one, didn't quite come out like we liked. It wasn't real wet or anything, so I flipped this over and we had a second shot. Yeah, so that is why you kind of build your base, but you don't adhere your stamped layer on quite yet, because that way you got a second chance there if you need it. But watercoloring and coloring with markers, definitely a fun technique. So appreciate you guys joining me this afternoon. I hope you've had fun. And yeah, please make sure, like, subscribe, comment, thumbs up, share with your family, all of that good stuff. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well, because that way YouTube will send you a little message that I'm going live at the right time here. And yeah, if you've got any wildflowers in your garden, so I had picked some of my beautiful black-eyed Susans here. That was the inspiration for today's project. Let me know, do you have a favorite favorite wildflower? And if so, what is it called in your area? Love that. All right, so thank you guys. Stay cool, stay safe. I know it's been pretty hot and whew, all kinds of crazy weather going on across the world right now, but yeah, love that we can join together with our stamping. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you again and stamping with you on Friday. Alrighty, take care, everybody.